In this video, I want to look at measuring angles. We typically measure angles in what's known as degrees, and it's denoted by this little circle that is a superscript. So something like 30 degrees. But what do we actually mean by degrees? Well, a full rotation is going to be 360 degrees. So what we want to know is what fraction of a rotation do we have? So we think of our full circle as being 360 degrees. If I rotate fully about the circle, then we would have a full rotation of 360 degrees. However, if I were to rotate halfway around the circle, that would be half of 360, or 180 degrees. If I rotate a quarter of the way around the circle, that would be 360 divided by 4, or 90 degrees. So we can think of it as what fraction of the circle that we are rotating about. There are some very special angles depending on the angle measure. Acute angles. These are angles that are between 0 and 90 degrees. Not equal to 0 or 90. So they look something like this. We have them between 0 and 90. So we have them as smaller than a quarter of the circle. A right angle is going to be exactly 90 degrees. So that one is going to be exactly a quarter of the circle. And we tend to denote those by a little square box to indicate that it is 90 degrees. Next, we have an obtuse angle. These are between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. So these are things that are going to be bigger than a right angle, but smaller than 180 degrees. We can have a straight angle. These angles are exactly 180 degrees, and they get their name because it looks like a straight line. So here's my vertex, and we can see the full half rotation around the circle. The last type is a reflex angle, and these are angles that are larger than 180 degrees. So if I look at something like this and I think of my angle as being here, that would be larger than 180 degrees, so it would be a reflex angle. One way to measure angles is using a protractor, something that looks like this. They usually have this small hole at the bottom center, and that's where the vertex goes. One side needs to lie along the 0 line, and then the other side tells us what our angle measure is. So for instance here, this would be a 60-degree angle, since it reads at 60 degrees. In this particular one, if we're reading right to left, the blue ones, that's because it's along the 0 line. If this baseline was on the left-hand side instead, we would be reading the top lines. Some teachers introduce angles using what's known as an angle explorer. They'll take 2 strips of cardboard and fasten them together with a brass fastener. And then students can open and close and make different angles with these 2 strips of cardboards to kind of explore and get a feeling for them.